And it's usually something metaphysical, because they don't have the discipline of mind to separate, things that are rubbish. And if you think about it, I mean, what is the age that you need to get discovered by? You need to be a teenager. So you really don't have time to finish your BA and then go off to Europe. You're going to be getting kind of long in the tooth by the time you come back and you're ready for your close-up in Maxim.
That's entertainment. What about news? Surely current affairs are not programmed for the lowest common denominator.
But first, these government press releases read by a fashion model.
Headlines.
In the United States now, they're starting to lay music beds on news stories, which was verboten for many, many years, but it's becoming more and more show business all the time. And it's the type of thing that the average viewer, although people are pretty TV literate now, might necessarily notice that there's violins playing in the back during that news piece.
The media is about dumbing down. The media is about simplifying. The media is about the 20-second soundbite.
I've worked as a journalist for various different media, broadcast and print. And every different magazine and newspaper will have a different rule that they tell you about the age level of their presumed audience. And it's always much younger than the adults you know to be reading it. So in certain extreme cases, I've been told you're writing for a grade 8 audience. At more sophisticated newspapers, I've been told you're writing for a high school audience. I know for certain broadcasters, I've been told you're writing for grade 10 audience. They're terrified of alienating viewers or listeners, and they know that if there are too many words people don't understand, they're going to flip to something easier.
The most successful program format on cable television in America is what? Wrestling. Wrestling is the most successful, and that's why a lot of the panel shows and discussion shows of television are based on wrestling.
It's survival of the most psychotic.
Well, I think the worst thing that TV does to you is make you think you're more powerful than you are. It makes you assume that all this information coming to you, you must be important, you have to decide something, you have to decide. No, you don't. The big lie is the world's a more increasingly complex place. The world's increasingly complex. No, it isn't.
Real TV's been on for how many years? You want to see someone get gored by a bull. You want to see a monkey in a diaper. You want to see crazy stuff.
Suddenly, you realize you're sitting there, your mouth feels like cloth, your chest is covered with potato chip crumbs, you got a sour feeling like you've been, sleeping on the floor, you're all alone, you don't exactly know what you've been watching for all this time, you've been vaguely alarmed and vaguely aroused, but you're frustrated because there's been no release. That's a really crummy feeling. And, as bad as it is for adults, it's positively criminal to subject children to that kind of thing.
I think you want entertainment. You don't want to, have some journalistic probing, changing the world with enlightenment. We like to think that we're that smart, but we're not that smart. We're still stupid flesh monkeys. We haven't evolved to this point that we think that we are. We still like to watch retarded things happen on TV.
I think a lot of the dumbing down of films is really done in the conference room at the studio.
Hollywood, I think, knows how dumb people really are, and they're catering to it. And guess what? It works and it makes money, so hey.
As for dumbing down, that's done very consciously. So, for example, again, take television. The programs are geared to the interests of teenagers. Why is that done? Well, because of studies that indicated that brand loyalty is established pretty young. So therefore, you want to gear the programs, you want to dumb them down to the level of children, because then you can track them. You're going to track them into a kind of brand loyalty, and then you don't have to worry about them too much later on.
There is a sort of a worship of stupidity. The stupidest thing possibly I've seen in my life was Jackass the movie, and I laughed.
I just think that Jackass was a more kind of outrageously stupid phenomenon. I mean, it celebrates its stupidity, and it trumpets its stupidity. And that's also part of, I think, the culture that we're living in today.
One of the few theories of stupidity to emerge in recent times is the relationship between stupidity and belief systems. Basically, human beings don't really know what's going on. So as a defense mechanism, they often construct rigid belief systems to help them navigate the world.
Everyone has a belief system, which I call a schema, and because of the belief system, people process information deferentially, meaning if it's information that confirms the schema, they take it in. If it's information which challenges the schema, they reject it. So if a person is involved in a course that's detrimental to his own best interest, he will not process the information that is indicating that. If you have a belief system which purports to explain the way the universe works, and it keeps you from getting a better belief system, then in that sense, religions can be very stupid.
They know what God wants. They know what Allah wants. Christians know what the Lord is telling them to do. Orthodox Jews know everything too.
The idea that we have the right answer.
According to the left, the right is stupid. According to the right, the left is stupid.
Communist morons!
And lacks common sense, which may explain why politics itself so often seems stupid.
Because they feel so self-righteous, they insist on imposing their values on the rest of us.
As war becomes bigger and more dangerous, it's obvious to everyone that this is something we should bring under control, have we? But war is very stupid, by definition, and we're still at it. We haven't been able, as a community, to get rid of it. Isn't that very, very, very stupid? We know we should.
Could the leader of the free world be the lowest common denominator?
I intend to find the killers wherever they may hide and run them down.
George Bush is not my ideal leader. I think he's about as dumb as any politician the United States has had, with the possible exception of Ronald Reagan.
I mean, really, think about the United States, okay? Here we are. We're a country that's one of the founding fathers discovered electricity. Great inventors, scientists. Look what we've devolved to. A guy who's proud that he was the king of the keggers.
President Bush actually gave a talk at the commencement at Yale this past year where he said to the C students, you too can be president of the United States.
He's proud of it. He wears it right on his sleeve. Stands up and says, yeah, I was a C student. I was just a big party boy.
Let me say something about Bush and Bushisms. One of the things I was always struck by talking to him was at the same time as he would stumble over the simplest things, he had a kind of depth of language in other ways.
He calls the people of Pakistan's Pakis.
I don't think there was ever a moment where it was normal to elect intellectuals to public office.
But intelligence has never seemed to be a requirement.
We have a president who prides himself on his bluntness. He, therefore, exults in certain propositions.
This will be a monumental struggle of good versus evil.
That don't add up. They don't make sense, but they sound firm.
And it's a struggle between good and it's a struggle between evil.
The media will not raise any of the rational questions that real journalists would raise for a rational population of citizens of a democracy. For example, the axis of evil.
An axis of evil.
Bush used that phrase against the wishes of many of the people around him. He liked it, liked the sound of it. He may not know what the actual axis was back in World War II. The evidence suggests that he doesn't know. It doesn't matter. He liked the sound of it. Three nations, evil, all working together, fine.
The mind of the successful politician is a lot more like the mind of the successful artist than it is like the mind of the successful intellectual. It's a job of seeing new patterns and new possibilities, not of analyzing words and data.
But I'm committed to reducing the amount of nuclear weaponry.
Even within the worldview, the confines of the Bush-Cheney worldview, it was inane, it was stupid, didn't make any sense, you see? But nobody asked that question. This is what happened.